cheese dip, conjured up by the Donnelly family in 1935 and first appearing on a restaurant menu anywhere at Mexico Chiquito in Protho Junction, Arkansas. This emulsion of unctuous cheese and spices has been a star on many menus throughout the years. So I'm going to show you how to make a version that's very similar to the very first Mexico Chiquito cheese dip. Let me show you our ingredients that we're going to be working with today. This here is American cheese. It's not Velveeta, but it is sliced deli style cheese. I could have just gotten a whole hunk of this, but I went ahead and got it thick sliced, so it's going to melt better when we get to that point in our recipe. Our next thing is, of course, milk. This is the difference between queso and cheese dip. By making a light roux of flour and butter, we're going to give the cheese dip the right consistency to hold on to that chip. And this is butter. This is where you're going to get your fat content to make that roux really help in the assistance of sticking that cheese to your chips. We're going to have some paprika. You also need a good chili powder. Then there's cayenne pepper. Ah yes, that's cumin. This right here is garlic powder. It's going to give more of a depth of flavor to your cheese dip. Now, if you have garlic salt but not garlic powder, use garlic salt instead, but omit the salt later on. And then there's this. You want just a little bit of something that's going to brighten up everything. So I've got a half teaspoon here of dried mustard and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, because you do need a little bit of salt. If you're using garlic salt instead of garlic powder, don't use the salt. You need hot sauce as well, just a teaspoonful. I'm using Crystal because this is my favorite hot sauce. I also like Panola, or you can use something along the lines of Tabasco if you really want to, but I like the simple flavor that I get with a cayenne garlic sauce. Now we have all our ingredients, let's put it together. We're going to start off by getting our pot going. It's not a very big pot, but it's enough to hold all of our ingredients. On medium-low heat to get our butter and flour put together, which means the butter is the first thing to go into the pot. As you'll see here, this big creamy stick of butter, which has been at room temperature for about 30 minutes, is already coming together. While you're making your cheese dip, make sure to keep an eye on your pot at all times. Notice that the butter is quickly dissolving in the heat. This is 1 stick of butter. This would be 1/2 cup of butter. Make sure that the butter is fully dissolved, but not browning, and add in your flour. Now the goal is not to make a dark roux, but to completely cook the flour before all the other ingredients come in. This won't take long at all if you've got it over medium heat. Just keep on stirring it. See how quickly the flour incorporated into the butter? Now it's time to add all these spices. We're going to start off with our paprika, 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of dry mustard, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Right in there. And see how quickly it comes together? Let's go ahead and start cooling that down. Put some of our milk in here. So we don't want to get a dark roux. All this brown color comes from the spices that are in it. So let's go ahead and add all of that 2 cups of milk in there. That's going to stop the browning of the roux that we created with the flour and butter, and it's going to give us something to emulsify our cheese in. Look how creamy it already is. We're going to take and put in about 1 teaspoon of hot sauce. I like mine a little spicy. As soon as your milk has come together with your flour and your spices, it's time to start adding the cheese. Now, the cheese has got to be completely smooth for this to be a good cheese dip. So I'm going to take my slices and fold them as I put them in. You might choose instead to chunk your cheese. Just make sure that it has a lot of surface area so it can melt quickly into your milk and spice emulsion. Just like the butter, it's melting. At this point, you want to have it on medium heat. High heat gives too much of a chance for your cheese dip to burn, and low heat means it'll take forever to melt that cheese. As soon as that first slice of cheese is mostly melted, throw the next in. In fact, I'm just going to slowly start adding all the cheese in. And I'm constantly stirring because burnt cheese dip, nobody wants that. All in all, we're adding in a pound of cheese. And it's American. This is another reason why this is cheese dip and not queso. If you happen to have time in advance, you know you're going to make cheese dip, go ahead and pull out your 1 pound of American cheese and your 1 stick of butter to sit on the counter and come to room temperature before you start. Then you don't have as far to go. Make sure to stir all the way through the pot because you might get spots like this where the cheese has not completely melted. The moment you feel your cheese dip is done, turn off the heat, continue to stir. You don't want anything hanging around at the bottom of that bowl. Once your cheese dip is done, you can ladle it into bowls and share it with your friends. If it's going to be a little while before you serve it, you can take what's in here and put it in a crock pot on simmer. That should keep it warm enough so that your friends can also enjoy this delightful emulsion. You know, if we're going to have a state dish of Arkansas, I can think of no dish finer than cheese dip.